even like the Tooth Fairy. Like, he made a movie where he was the Tooth Fairy, and people are like, "All right, let's go." And he survived. He survived the Scorpion King. So
He did. He did.
So I'm rooting for him from that perspective, but also J.J. Abrams. He's been out of the limelight since Rise of Skywalker, from a directing standpoint. So I would love to see J.J. have another home run. All right, Lacey, I feel like we haven't talked about Glen Powell in a while, and we're not necessarily going to do that right now, but some news about his upcoming Running Man iteration, remake, reboot.
It's a remake, I would say.
Josh Brolin, Thanos himself, is being tapped to play the villain, which was played by Richard Dawson of Family Feud fame in the original The Running Man. So what do you think?
Every time I see Josh Brolin, I see Josh Brolin. Like, he's been so many characters at this point, and he always plays like the somewhat bad guy that it's like, I don't know. I can't take him as like whatever character. I just see him as Thanos over and over and over again.
But Thanos doesn't look like Josh Brolin, really.
But then he played a similar character as Cable in Deadpool.
Yep.
I just feel like I keep seeing the same kind of type of character. So I want to be amazed if he plays in I've never seen Running Man, to be fair. If this character is completely outside the box of what he normally plays, I'm in. I'm just in because Glen Powell's in. But I just feel like every time I see him casting something, I'm like, okay, so I can't unsee that it's him.
Yeah, I mean, basically the premise of Running Man is it's in the future, and the way game shows have evolved is it involves people killing people. So it was like Squid Game before Squid Game.
And it's also Hunger Games, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Running Man came before that too.
I know. Yeah.
I think Brolin, if he's playing a similar role to Killian, can do a different type of villain, because this isn't a military action villain. This is more of just this kind of a bad guy.
Thank you. That's the type. That's what I'm talking about. He plays like a military buff, like, I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, he's an action-based villain when he is a villain. But this is going to be more of like just a selfish corporate jerk. But we'll see. But anyway, welcome everybody to Nerdy and Nice, episode 23. As we approach Halloween here in the Northeast, things are getting cold. I turned a year older yesterday. It's getting older is rough, I'll tell you that. But the other news that we have to warm up to here, Lacey, is Tom Holland checked in on Spider-Man 4, and he said it's coming along, but this quote script needs work. So not up to his standard yet.
That's not a great way to talk about a script. He does go on to say that he read it with Zendaya, and they were, jumping around, bouncing around the room at how excited they were about it. But the fact that he's saying, like, it needs some work, like, I'm sure Marvel wasn't pumped about that.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Daisy said that. Daisy Ridley said that about Star Wars. There would be like 75 videos per YouTuber on what that means.
Yes, true. It's an interesting quote. But you don't want to put too much to it.
Sure.
Because like a lot of these things, there are often many drafts and that sort of stuff. So I'm sure it'll come along. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm just interested with a part 4. Oftentimes things start teetering, because that third one with all the Spider-Men was this big, massive hit. How do you continue from that? So that'll be interesting. But anyway, we have a good show because we have some cool topics to get into. But how you doing? You all good?
I'm good. I'm excited for Halloween. I'm excited for holiday time. I'm already gearing up for Christmas. I'm not gonna lie. I've been listening to Christmas music. I'm ready to go. It's getting colder. I've never been more hyped for cold weather.
Oh,
I'm a cold weather girl, so I'm in it.
I do not like winter at all. But anyway, away we go. Lacey, let's get into some of these topics. Let's see what's happening.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
So the first topic is someone that has come up on the show before, and I'm going to start off by saying that it wasn't maybe the best topics about this person, but we're going to bring it back to something interesting, which is The Rock reveals a secret movie project with J.J. Abrams from the mind of Zach Penn with the quote, "Tonight it comes to life." So The Rock on his Twitter X social media account posted that he was having dinner with J.J. Abrams, and he said, "Years in the making, we finally broke bread, we drank, we laughed, got a little drunk, parenthesis, maybe that was just me. We talked life stuff, love stuff, dude stuff, and took our time chopping up our passion for movies and storytelling." And then he said they all raised a glass to toast to, "Yup, this is gonna be fun. JJ and DJ." So there's a lot of questions about this movie. What does it mean? Where is it going? Could this be the project that they've been hinting at with J.J. Abrams for a while now, that he's working on some type of franchise thing, just like Spielberg is? Like, he's had this idea for a long time and it's finally coming about. He's getting back into the director's seat. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Are you pumped that The Rock is involved, or is it kind of automatic? Because I know people are very hot and cold on him.
No, I like The Rock. I saw this video of him like meeting, a fan of his, and going above and beyond to make the kid feel happy and stuff. And he does that a lot, So, and actors don't have to do that. And there's plenty who don't. And I know there's stories about The Rock, like, oh, he's strange to work with, and he's peeing and stuff. I don't know, but I like The Rock still, and I love J.J. Abrams. So if J.J. is indeed directing this, then I'm going to be interested. The only thing that gives me pause is the Zach Penn part, because if this is anything superhero or comic based, I first have pause because of the Black Adam thing. I think has a bad taste in people's mouths with how The Rock
definitely does.
How The
It
Rock
was his
handled
first
that.
movie that didn't do well.
Yeah, and he took a lot of creative control, and he did some things that I liked, which was he brought back Henry Cavill, and he wanted to make that a thing, but Black Adam didn't do well. So if it's a superhero thing, I'm nervous about that, because I feel like that stain of Black Adam on fans is still, or scar, or whatever you want to call it, it's still there. So, and I say that because Zach Penn has written, like, the thing he's done the most, at least more than once, is superhero stuff. He did The Incredible Hulk, which was the one with Edward Norton in 2008. He wrote that, and he co-wrote X2, but he also co-wrote X-Men: The Last Stand, which was the third one, which was a stinker. But then he wrote the story for the Avengers, so he's like all over the place.
He also did Last Action Hero.
That's
with
a
Arnold
fun movie.
Schwarzenegger.
That is actually a fun movie.
But I'm saying, as something else that's interesting, like, could this be a remake of Last Action Hero with Dwayne Johnson?
And he wrote Free Guy, which was that Sean Levy directing? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And he wrote Elektra also. So he has
Ready
like
Player One. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he wrote Ready Player One?
He is one of the co-writers with Ernest Cline, the author.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, so he has good stuff, he has bad stuff. I'm not going to blame the third X-Men on him, because I think Brett Ratner, the director, really screwed the pooch on that. So I have a little pause, but it's JJ, and I'm always rooting for JJ, and I love JJ Abrams, and everyone knows that. So I'm interested, because I also like The Rock, and I think this could be, I don't want to say an underdog story for these guys, because The Rock is a gajillionaire and he's so successful, and he's, but he has finally been, like you said, shown to be mortal from a box office and fan perspective. For a while, I was like, this guy is bulletproof. He's making movies called Skyscraper with Nev Campbell, and that
the Santa one's coming out.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Even like the Tooth Fairy. Like, he made a movie where he was the Tooth Fairy, and people are like, all right, let's go. and he survived. He survived the Scorpion King. So
He did. He did.
So I'm rooting for him from that perspective, but also J.J. Abrams. He's been out of the limelight since Rise of Skywalker from a directing standpoint. So I would love to see J.J. have another home run. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. It's something that's absolutely going to pique my interest because of J.J. And The Rock, and we'll see. I just need more details. But tonight it comes to life. You know, oddly, my brain first went to Cloverfield.
Cloverfield, because they said that they were definitely working on a sequel to that a while ago. And it wouldn't be surprising if The Rock was playing like a military figure in that.
Right.
Yeah.
So if this is Cloverfield, I'm interested again. It was a found footage movie. Then they did the second one, which was a little different, but it takes place in the same timeline, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I need to learn more about it, but I am interested because of the players involved.
I'll admit I am kind of, I don't know, hesitant because it's The Rock, because he just failed really bad with Black Adam, like really bad. And then all these stories that are coming out with him aren't great. But like you said, I did see the video of him with the fan where he was so wonderful. And I think that's a WWE thing, to be honest. Like WWE wrestlers in general are very good with fans, especially kids. And The Rock is definitely one of those people, just like John Cena, that will take the time to speak to any kid.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm just interested because it's J.J. Abrams, like you are. I think J.J. did a great job with first of all, with The Force Awakens, one of my favorite movies ever, as well as one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I think he did the best he could with what he was given for The Rise of Skywalker, within reason. I think there was a lot of hands in that pot. But I feel like with J.J. Abrams, he's always willing to kind of push the boundaries of what could work, and he's willing to take risks, which I appreciate. He doesn't fall into like, oh, I need to play up the nostalgia all the time. Oh, I need to go back. Like he likes lens flare. He's doing the lens flare. Like that's just who J.J. Abrams is. So I'm very interested in this project. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I think, like you said, if it was Cloverfield, it would be The Rock would play the typical thing that he does, which is like military guy with the big shoulders and like the neck muscles that nobody has. It's just a very kind of, it's surprising to me that this went out in a tweet and not in a press release or some other type of announcement or a studio announcement. It's going up via a somewhat blurry photo from a table that looks like it's in a hotel room. Like, I don't know what restaurant this is. It's kind of, it's weird, but
The Rock kept the drinks coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, it intrigues me. And I feel like The Rock is someone that doesn't care about studio secrecy. He is very much like, if I want to say this, I'm just going to say it. If I want to post this, I'm just going to post this. And that's the way it's going to be. But it could really be anything. And I'm just happy to see J.J. Abrams back doing creative work again. Because I think, just like we were talking about with The Rock and Black Adam, I think The Rise of Skywalker did affect J.J. Abrams. Like, when he was doing interviews after interview after interview and roundtables and panels about The Rise of Skywalker, and he was constantly getting like, why did you do this? Fans hate this. Like, that was another thing. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, like the press taking things that people say online and then regurgitating them in interviews to get the clicks. He got so much hate from people. Even if you don't like the movie, that's fine. Don't go up to that person and be like, so everyone hates you. How do you feel about that? And I remember being so sad hearing these things, because JJ would just be like, well, you know, that's their right. It's a personal experience. They can do whatever, you know, they want to do. That's up to them. And I felt so bad. So I really hope that this is a success, whatever it ends up being. It's fun to see people excited about something when we personally, with the podcast, this podcast or TRB, decide we're going to do something new and different. We get excited too, and you just want to share that information with everybody and be like, we can't wait to talk about this. So any new movie is a good movie to me. Like, even if it's not something that's my cup of tea, I'm still interested. I'll still check it out, see what it's all about. So keep this coming in the sense of stop hiding everything. Studios, stop hiding the process. Let people be in on the production, and they'll buy in earlier than a trailer 3 weeks before the movie comes out. Speaking of in on the process, your boy, and I say your boy because it is definitely someone you're a huge fan of, which is James Gunn, has done nothing but given update after update after update about what his plans are for the DCU and specifically for the upcoming Superman. And this week he put up a photo of Superman and the dog Krypto sitting on, I believe, the moon overlooking Earth. And it's a really cool shot. It's kind of like got nostalgic retro vibes with it. And he shared a whole tweet about how he talks about his dog and what the situation is, and just sharing updates with fans of like, hey, see, I am pulling from the comics. And he even shared the panel that inspired the shot in the movie. It just looks really wholesome. So, John, as the Superman guy and the James Gunn guy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it now, and I'm looking at the version James Gunn shared on October 15th around noon, which has the moving Earth in front of Superman and Krypto, and it just makes me think of the James Gunn aesthetic from Guardians of the Galaxy and how you could take something that is so fantastical and hard to believe is in live action and make it work. And he did for Guardians, and look what he was able to do with Rocket as an animal and how people fell in love with that character. And now he's reintroducing Krypto, which was in the Star Wars. Look at me. He was in
We've been talking a lot of Star Wars.
Your Star Wars podcast the same night we record this.
Yeah.
But with Superman having Krypto in the comics, and there's different versions of Krypto too. There's some that he's from Krypton. There's some he's just a normal dog that's Superman's pet. I like that version. There's versions where Krypto speaks. I think The Rock even may have voiced Krypto in something once. But like James Gunn confirmed, I think on his Blue Sky actually, that Krypto it does not speak. He barks because he's a dog. So I think it'd be really cool if Superman just like saves this dog and this dog is just his pet. I think that'd be awesome. But either way, it's a part of Superman lore. Fans seem to be appreciating that he's doing this, and the look of this, of them overlooking the Earth as the Earth is rotating, it's gorgeous shot. And I know he's going to deliver a beautiful looking movie. And we're 10 years removed from Man of Steel, and the special effects from Man of Steel that Zack Snyder and team put together for that was so good that I can't wait to see what Superman looks like today and what they're able to pull off with him. I think everything that I've seen from a visual standpoint looks fantastic, and all the buttons James Gunn is pushing seem to be the right ones. I'm just more and more excited about this as we're now 9 months away from that movie coming out. So this just made me really happy to see. It just feels warm. It feels good. You know what I mean? Like I look at this photo of Superman and the dog and the Earth, and it just makes me think of goodness.
It's wholesome. Yeah.
Yes. And like he said he wanted to make sure Superman is just a unflinching beacon of hope and goodness, and everything from the color palette and everything he's giving to us, the crispness, everything looks exactly like that, and I cannot wait. I haven't been this excited for a movie in a long time, probably even more than Top Gun 2.
Really?
Yes.
You were pretty hyped for that.
And Superman, like Man of Steel did well. I think it made like 700 million at the box office in 2013. That's big time money. I think we may get our first ever $1 billion Superman movie.
I could sense that because every image that comes out of this movie, every shot that is being shared from James Gunn is stunning. Like, just beautifully composed. The colors are so crisp. For me, not just this photo, but with the comic panel that he shared as well on social media paired with this video photo, is that it is just so purposeful. Everything that he decided to do with this character and in this movie, and seemingly with the DCU as well, has a purpose, which I feel like is different than anything any other studio is doing. Every other studio feels like they're constantly reacting to what's popular. They're reacting to what fans want. We just talked about this Variety article last week. James Gunn saying, no, we're doing what I want. And we're doing what me as a Superman, I almost said Star Wars again, as a Superman fan wants to see. Out of the comics, I'm bringing it from the page to the screen. And that's what's going to happen.
And it wasn't, I guess, a part of the plan until they adopted their dog from a hoarding situation. Their dog Ozu, they adopted and rescued from a backyard that had 60 dogs with complete neglect, and their dog never knew humans. And my sister adopted a dog from Puerto Rico, and the dog is so afraid of people, except my sister. So we don't know what that dog went through, you know. And to hear James Gunn say, like, wasn't even a part of the script, but then Ozu came into our lives, and I was like, this makes sense. So he was inspired to bring Crypto into his DCU, and it's just like a really feel good type of situation. So thumbs up from me. You know, I never would have thought that they would do Crypto in a live action Superman, but here we are. And who of all to pull it off? I think James Gunn is the guy.
He definitely is the director, writer, creator, producer, whatever you want to call him, the person in charge that more times than not is willing to focus more on character development and heartfelt moments than other people. He'll add in action and he'll add in excitement and funny moments because he has really good humor, etc. But I feel like he really focuses on those moments that are going to drive home family, love, connection, humanity. And this movie gives me that from everything that we've seen and heard about it. And again, like, everything just seems like it has a purpose. Like, he's doing it for a specific reason that ties to something else that then brings a bigger story into play. And it's not so disjointed, or, hey, this studio wants to make another one of these movies because it made $1 bajillion. He's saying, no, I'm doing this because I love Superman. So there's no one better to do this than me because I want it to be done this way.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm super pumped too. I think this is not to play it up as much as hyped as you are, because I would say you're definitely the one that's more hyped. But I am definitely excited, as this is compared to any other upcoming superhero movie, because we've gotten a lot of those. I am the most excited about this over Fantastic Four, over anything else that comes out. I am more excited about Superman than anything else. I think it's going to be one of those movies that I'm going to leave smiling, and I'm going to be like, I want to see that again. And that is a rare thing nowadays, to have movies like that.
Agreed. And also, you know, like Johnny being in first grade, like, you know, there's kids that cause trouble and like influence him to want to act bad and stuff. And like, I think this is a good time, like, especially the way the world is right now with politics and all, like, just how there's this, like, not loss of hope, but there's this like cloudy feeling about how things are. And to have a movie come out with this version of Superman, it will be a nice beacon of inspiration for kids. Like, oh, I want to be like Superman, you know, like, because there's so many anti-heroes these days, you know, obviously Deadpool.
I'm so sick of anti-heroes. We've seen it. It's done. We got it. Thank you.
Or like the gritty stuff, you know,
sick of it.
the very dark Batman stuff, which I do like, but this is back to formula. And you know, when I was a kid, I watched Christopher Reeve, on the VHS sets or whatever in my parents' house, and I was like,
Mhm.
I put a cape on my back and I was jumping off my couch. I wanted to be Superman, and it's like I would love for my son to like see, or my daughter to see like Superman and be like, you can just be really, you can be a friend, you could be a good person, and look, he's the greatest character of all time. You could, he's a great inspiration on how to do the right thing when you're faced with situations of, oh, I don't know what to do here. So I just think it's coming out at the right time. I think it's the right person making it, and I think Corn Sweat's going to do a great job as the Man of Steel.
Yeah, there definitely is. I agree with you. Like a lack of humanity and connection right now in the world. I think in part of it, kind of ironically, is due to social media. I think everybody's so disjointed in their own echo chambers and views, etc., that something like this that has such a straightforward, uniting message of hope is definitely needed.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Going along with that, which is kind of funny because I would say a lot of people did like this movie, but I know, John, you were not a fan necessarily, but I think everybody can get behind the fact that everyone enjoys Michael Keaton. He said this past week that he would do another Beetlejuice in a heartbeat and quote, "I'd do one every year." He told E! News. What do you feel about, I still haven't seen Beetlejuice. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to see it. John saw it, and then my little sister, who, by the way, went through like a Tim Burton phase when she was in middle school, high school, like he was her personality. She said this movie's bad, and my heart broke for her because I know that like that's kind of her thing. Like she really liked Tim Burton growing up, so if she said it wasn't good, I was like, oh man. I guess I'll wait for it to hit a streaming service to watch because I don't want to pay for it if my own flesh and blood sister is saying it's bad.
It'll go on Max eventually because of Warner Brothers probably. But
yeah. Would you want him to do another one? Or do you think you're good?
No, I mean, yeah, more. I mean, Michael Keaton is 72. Like, let's get as much Michael Keaton as we can. But Beetlejuice for me, I've seen it twice now, and it's good enough. Like, do a sequel to a movie that came out 36 years ago and get everyone back in the mix is really tough to do, and they did it. I think there's enough, at least I think for you, especially someone who loves practical special effects and stuff, like just even in the neither world, like waiting room and stuff, like I think you are gonna laugh at seeing people and seeing like how they're dead, why they're dead.
Yeah.
That's all there again. And so there is good stuff to like and take away from Beetlejuice, and like Jenna Ortega's good, and of course Catherine O'Hara, Michael Keaton. But it was just too many subplots. Like I said last week in my review, that if they cut a few things out, I think, and kept the story less busy with so many moving parts, it would have worked better. But Michael Keaton was great. So I would say watch it, take the good from it that you find, and just know it's a sequel from a 36-year-old movie that wasn't that big of a hit when it first came out and became a cult classic. So I don't want to say I didn't like Beetlejuice, but it's not as good as the first for sure. But it was good enough. I go in with tempered expectations. I think we were a little more hyped on it because of all those reasons. Maybe foolishly, and maybe that's just how it goes. Sometimes you wait too long to make a sequel, you can't fully capture or live up to that hype. And some people, like we talk about Star Wars a lot. Some Star Wars fans have felt that way too, in an earnest way. But I mean, Michael Keaton's one of my favorites, from Batman to, Beetlejuice to even some of his serious stuff, Pacific Heights, or, comedies like Mr. Mom. Like, I love Michael Keaton. He's so talented, so good. He seems like a good dude. So I'd be happy if they made another one, and he wouldn't do it if Tim Burton did it. So that wouldn't be the question.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm looking at the list of topics tonight, and this really is John's show because we kick it off with J.J. Abrams, then we go to James Gunn, then we're going to Michael Keaton, and now this next thing. When I saw this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is definitely for John," which is Beatles 64, an all-new documentary from producer Martin Scorsese and director David Tedeschi. is streaming exclusively on Disney Plus November 29th. John, I know you love the Beatles. I made the trip with you to Abbey Road when we were there in London for you to see it and take pictures. Are you pumped for this? Is this something that you're going to stream immediately? What are your thoughts?
Yes. For a lot of reasons. So when they did Get Back, when Peter Jackson did that, was it 2 years ago or so now for Disney Plus? They basically just took all that footage and remastered it to the point where you thought the Beatles were existing today. Like if my kids walked into the room and watched that, they'd be like, "Oh, who are those guys? Can we go see them?" You know? And my kids do that sometimes. Like even when watching, old Star Wars movies, he'd be like, "Oh, that's Luke," and then he would see like Mark Hamill now, and he'd be like, "That's Luke," you know. So this, you have David Tedeschi, who I think this is his first directing job, but I looked into it. Your boy did a little research, and he was the editor of the George Harrison documentary "Living in a Material World" in 2011, which everybody loved. And George Harrison is like such an underrated Beatle. So he's already entrenched. He knows it. He knows clearly how to bring a story about the Beatles from a documentary angle. And then you have Martin Scorsese on top of it producing, and being put out by Disney Plus. Like they got big time people around this thing. And then of course, what's the content? The Beatles coming to America, which was one of the biggest moments in the history of pop culture.
Wasn't this the second Beatles thing that Disney Plus has put out?
Well, that's what I was saying. Get Back came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
From Peter Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. And I was surprised because I thought this was something I would have heard of a while ago. And the fact that it's coming out on November 29th, it's like, wow, I did not hear about this or see it coming. Sort of like what you were saying about the Rock and JJ movie. Like sometimes you just want to be surprised and learn about stuff. I'm all in on this. Yeah.
Nice. This isn't my cup of tea, as you might say. But I'm pumped for you, John, and I can't wait to hear what you think about it. So I'm ready to get into some trailers though, because the funny thing is we were talking earlier about like the gritty versus wholesome Superman, and we have two trailers where one's kind of gritty and one's kind of wholesome.
Oh God, I love that movie.
All right, it's trailer time, and yeah, the first one we're going to get into here is The Electric State, which is set for release on Netflix on March 14th next year, 2025. Monster cast. We're talking Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, Ke Huy Quan, Stanley Tucci, who you love, as we know. I do too, and many others. Like it's a loaded cast.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yep.
Jason Alexander.
Yep. And
yeah,
I guess the story is sort of we're in this futuristic technology controlled world, and Millie Bobby Brown is the lead character, and she's trying to find her sister. Is that what the plot is? So it says, set in the aftermath of a robot uprising in an alternate version of the 90s, The Electric State follows an orphan teenager who ventures across the American West with a cartoon-inspired robot, a smuggler, and a sidekick in search of her younger brother. That's it.
Younger brother, yeah.
And when you read the description, you're like, man, this is a very Star Wars DNA. A smuggler and his sidekick? Like, pretty on the nose. But what do you think of this trailer, Lacey?
So I do want to comment that this is based on a graphic novel and takes place in a reimagined version of 1997, with humans isolated from their VR helmets and a continuing battle against a strange breed of monstrous drones in the wake of a technological meltdown. A teenage girl named Michelle and a robot travel the West Coast. So it sounds kind of similar to the Fallout series, where it's like a completely different version, or like what's the word I'm looking for? The comic book superhero movie that takes place in a different timeline. Like if Russia won, Watchmen. It's kind of like that, where it's the US, it's in the past, but it's like if something else happened. So I I'm going to start off by saying I hate this trailer because it follows the template of like every action movie lately, which is they find a song. We actually mocked this on this show a couple episodes ago, where they take an old song, which I believe is Champagne Supernova, right? In this
It is.
trailer, and then
Oh,
they
wait.
like draw it out and slow it down and add like kind of, dramatic beats that they're
A lot
like
of echo.
"Dun, dun, dun, dun." Yeah. There's actually a really funny social video where they're like, some guy on TikTok did this where he's like, if this was a trailer and like takes the songs and makes it this way. But it even goes down to the like end template part where you have someone say a line, then it cuts to the title, then it goes to like a comedic moment. I
Mhm.
just wish they would stop doing this. That's my thought. Like, give me something new. Stop giving me this templatized, hey, we need this checkbox, staring at the camera check, random reveal of this moment, look at the camera here. I'm sick of that. That being said, this does look interesting to me. I will watch it. I don't think Chris Pratt makes necessarily bad movies. Every movie he's in is at least decent. He makes good choices. I think Millie Bobby Brown is good in movies, and the cast is really well done. I'm not the biggest fan of the Russos, the
I know.
directors, but I think the concept for me is super interesting. So I'm in. I'll watch it.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you on the trailer. And your points about the whole blueprint of trailers. I think it is very stale at this point. So I'm in complete agreement with you there.
It's the same thing every trailer. It's so frustrating.
There's a lot of cool actors also doing voices in this. Woody Harrelson, Alan Tudyk, Billy Bob Thornton, Anthony
Jenny
Mackie,
Slate.
Brian Cox.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a loaded cast. Yeah, Russo brothers, hit or miss with people for sure. I mean, they clearly did big things with Avengers, and this movie apparently cost over $300 million to make.
Oh my God. It's probably all CG.
I feel like Netflix has so much money, they're not sure what to do with it at this point. So
It's all the CG and probably salaries.
Salaries, CG, yeah, because it looks really good. So I think this could be a situation where the trailer doesn't do the movie any service.
Any justice. Yeah. I feel the
yeah.
same way.
I am interested in seeing this. And the story, maybe it's a little formulaic. And I see Alan Silvestri's doing the music, and I'm not the biggest fan of his. And music is big for me. But yeah, I don't like the Avengers theme. I think it's kind of cheesy, actually. But
did he do Ready Player One, Alan Silvestri? Didn't he do Ready Player One?
Alan Silvestri did.
I know he did Avengers and Back to the Future.
Yeah, he did do Ready Player One. Yeah.
Yeah, because it had a very Ready Player One sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he has done Avengers. He's done supposedly Forrest Gump. He did Forrest Gump. All the Avengers movies, Back to the Future, Night at the Museum, The Croods.
Oh, look, he's one of the most accomplished of all time.
Yeah,
He's just not necessarily my favorite. Like,
mm-hmm.
He's done Predator.
He did Polar Express.
Yeah, Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future. Like, he's a legend. He's just not my favorite. And that's okay. But like I said, it looks good. I'm interested in it. The cast is loaded. I'm not the hugest Millie Bobby Brown fan either. I feel like she's getting a little bit too big for her britches in terms of from an ego standpoint, it seems like. Like, I really didn't like her.
She's just done with Stranger Things.
I know, but I hate when they do that stuff. Like, the show's not even out yet, and she's like, "Oh, I can't wait to be done." It's like, "Oh, great! I can't wait to watch you in this show now next year." It's a little annoying as a fan. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we're vesting our time.
I get it, but she did do Enola Holmes, and that killed. So now she's like got the idea, like, I don't need Stranger Things. You know what I mean?
You got to be careful with that.
I'm not saying she's right, but I'm saying in the sense of she isn't hitting a wall like maybe a Daisy Ridley or a John Boyega or Adam Driver.
No, I understand. I just she rubs me the wrong way. I don't know. I get like J-Lo vibes from her. I don't know. But
Okay. Her and I share a birthday. Fun fact.
oh yeah,
Same
I share a
birthday.
birthday with Mickey Mantle, the greatest baseball player ever, and Jim Halpert. Jim Halpert.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, we have another trailer to talk about,
We do.
and this one is called The Legend of Ochi, which comes in theaters February 28th, 2025. So about a couple weeks before Electric State hits Netflix. And this one stars another cast member of Stranger Things, Finn Wolfhard, alongside Willem Dafoe, Emily Watson, Helena Zengel, directed by Isaiah Saxon. Lacey, I saw this trailer and I called you and I was like, you are about to see a trailer for your next favorite movie. And you were like, oh, okay, bye.
Okay, you are not painting the full picture. I was watching my two kids and they're both screaming at me. They're sitting at floor level with me and I pick up not because it's like, "Oh, let's have a chit chat." It's because I pick up thinking, "Oh, it's an emergency." Because
On what planet?
I don't know. That's immediately what I think of. Call it anxiety, whatever. Anybody that calls me and doesn't text me, I think it's an emergency. That's
You
where my
call
brain
me
goes.
all the time.
Yeah, but that's me calling you.
You called me 4 times yesterday, actually.
I did, but we were talking about podcast stuff, so
I
whatever.
picked up like, are you okay? What's the matter?
Okay. Anyway, it was very kind of you to say this, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like I wasn't sure what was going
It
on.
was just a little deflating, and I know it wasn't your fault.
I'm sorry. I went then watched it, and I said, "Oh my god, this is amazing." So, The Legend of Ochi is an adorable looking movie that seemingly takes place in like some type of Norwegian countryside, it looks like, or some type of land, remote northern village. Um, they are basically villagers that are fighting this werewolf type character. And then the young girl in the movie, kind of like Elliot in E.T., captures the baby. And the baby is this like adorable, like little monkey werewolf thing that's called Ochi. And it's the cutest little puppet. And John knows that of all the things that I love about movie magic, it's practical stuff, puppets. I'm all in. And this looks really, really cute. And I am looking forward to it. I hope nothing happens to the puppet. I hope it's not like an artsy movie where they're like, the puppet dies in the end. Something weird. Because I will be heartbroken. But it looks really good. And it looks like a great family movie, which again, I feel like we're not getting at the movies anymore. We're not getting these, like The Wild Robot is killing it at the theater right now. And they put out an article saying that they believed teens were buying tickets to Wild Robot and going and seeing Terrifier 3, and they weren't seeing Wild Robot. John, they're seeing Wild Robot. People are reporting back being like, no, my theater is filled with teens seeing Wild Robot. Because people like animated movies. People like puppets. People like movies where they don't feel like they're going to die by the end of it, or someone dies, or the world's on fire, or everybody's, trying to get by. That I'm like, we were just talking about Electric State or whatever it is. Dystopian world. Like, yes, does it look good? Does it look like an adventure, maybe entertaining movie? Sure. Is it going to change my life? Probably not. This movie could. This movie could change my life. This movie could be a movie that like sticks with me for a long time. That's the kind of movie it looks like. And you're right. It could be my new favorite movie. So I appreciate you calling me. I'm sorry I didn't give you the answer you wanted.
No, I'm just busting your chops. Yeah, I mean, this is E.T. to a T. Like, this creature that is part of this species gets left behind, and this girl adopts it, and then she goes on a quest to reunite it with her family, even though the rest of the humans and the rest of her family see this species as dangerous, so they're trying to stop her from doing it to protect her. So it has E.T. written all over it. Now it's not Steven Spielberg. it's not John Williams. It's Isaiah Saxon who's writing and directing it. And his credentials are a lot of stuff I haven't seen. He's done short films and music videos. So this is his first feature. The budget on this is only $10 million, if Wikipedia is to be believed, which blew my mind that they can make a movie for $10 million that looks this cool, because the visual effects, the titular character Ochi is a puppet, and it's operated by 7 people.
I can't wait to see the behind the scenes on this movie. I will buy the DVD, Blu-ray just to watch the behind the scenes.
Yeah, and they use puppetry, animatronics, computer animation, and matte paintings in this movie.
Oh my God. It's like classic movie making. I love
They're
it.
starting to realize maybe the old ways of doing things are good. Let's blend them with the new things and make the most out of it. Because I think with matte paintings, you probably save a lot of money on digital effects.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the original Star Wars trilogy used tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Finn Wolfhard in here, which I think is funny because we were just talking about Millie Bobby Brown. And Finn Wolfhard has never spoken poorly about Stranger Things. And he seems to be really tapping in and getting these nostalgia-based gigs, like he did Ghostbusters. Obviously, Stranger Things in itself is a very Spielbergy Amblin throwback. And now this, which is really like a new version of E.T. in a sense, where it's instead of an alien, it's this species that is misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would like to go see this in the theaters, to be honest.
I would too. It looks beautiful.
Let's bring our kids. Let's go bring our kids to go see this.
I don't know if I could bring Daisy. She's a little younger than Johnny, but you can bring Johnny.
Yeah. So
That'd be fun.
February 28th next year. I'm interested in this. The trailer looks great, and the character looks like we're gonna fall in love with it. And there's those weird moments though in the trailer that I know what they were doing, where they're like, we want to make you as worried as possible about this little creature.
Yes. It's in the water. It's scared. It's hovering. Yeah.
This movie's going to make people cry if it's executed well. People are going to cry watching this movie.
It's interesting that it's coming out about a year after Cord Jefferson, who is an American writer director, won Best Adapted Screenplay for American Fiction. American Fiction. He won the award. And a big moment of the Oscars this past year was him getting up there saying, I understand that this is a risk adverse industry. I get it. He's like, but $20 million movies are also a risk, and it doesn't always work out, but you risk it anyway. Instead of making one $200 million movie, try making 20 $10 million movies or 50 $4 million movies. And so it's interesting that you said that this only cost about 10 mil, which again, I'll take $5, but $10 million, because time and time again, people are coming out and saying, stop making Avengers type films and start making films like this. These are the films that inspire future filmmakers, inspire people to get involved in making movies and television and books. And there is nothing exciting about movies and or television being made by AI or, not being made by a human.
Yeah.
And when you're throwing money at something for visual effects, it doesn't translate the way that a puppet and the magic of shooting on location does.
Right.
And I hope movies like this kill it, and that their $10 million budget turns into $800 million profit, because then hopefully, fingers crossed, studios get the memo that this is what they should be making. They probably won't, because they're dumb. And sometimes they don't take what's right in front of them. Like the Barbie movie, they were like, wow, a unique Barbie movie with an original screenplay, whether you liked it or not, and beautiful set production design. They went, no, we now need to make a movie of every single toy in the Mattel and Hasbro lineup. And everyone was like, no, that's not what you should take away from this. This is one of the most exciting movies coming out. I know we talked about Superman. this is right on there that list for me.
Yeah, and there's a few production companies that joined to put this movie together, and Agbo is the top one listed, and that is the Russo brothers production company that they're the chairman of. So cheers to them for getting involved in something like this as well. And then distributed by A24, which is like the new cool thing.
They're making they're killing it. A24.
So all things point to this being really good. I hope it hits, and I hope we do feel, that connection between these characters the way, I did as a kid watching E.T., This could be my kids' E.T. Not to say that they can't watch E.T., but
that's
what
I mean?
everybody's
saying in the comments. Everybody's saying E.T. with A24 vibes. E.T. Oh my God, E.T.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this. It's definitely something I'm gonna check out, and I, based on the trailer and everything that we looked into, I recommend people also giving it a shot.
Yeah.
But why don't we get into what we are watching now?
We can never leave the house, and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
So I'm still keeping up with the shows that I have been watching, which is Only Murders in the Building, which is in a weird point at this point, which I'm not going to get into it yet.
I'm one episode behind, so I didn't catch last week's. Yeah.
I have one more. Yeah. Great British Baking Show. I'm all caught up. I love that show so much. There's not much to say. They're lovely, beautiful, wholesome British people baking pastries. Like there's not much there. I have been watching Love is Blind, which is the dating show on Netflix. It is a disaster this season. Everybody's a mess. It's exactly the miserable stuff you expect. But nothing that's like game changing. I would say that previous seasons were probably more interesting than the current one. Like usually in a season of Love is Blind, you have couples that are just like the worst people ever, but then you have a couple that truly seem like they love each other and you believe in love and like, oh my God, they're gonna have a happy ever after. So there's like a balance. This season, I can't think of one of the couples that's you're cheering for. Like that's how bad it is.
Okay.
But my new obsession is a show on Netflix called Culinary Class Wars. It is a show out of Korea. Surprise, all my favorite shows are coming out of Korea. It is a game show, I believe, made by the same people that did Physical 100, which was that Korean show I'd brought up previously with like bodybuilders.
Yep.
This one is with chefs. So what they do is they found like the top 20 like greatest chefs in Korea, ranging from all different things like Chinese cuisine, Korean. There's a couple people that are from America in there. And then you also have on the other side, 80 kind of up and coming chefs. They're not big yet, but they're getting there. And they have black jackets versus white jackets. And then it's judged with two guys. One guy is basically like the Gordon Ramsay of Korea. And then the other guy is a 3-star Michelin chef in Korea. He's the only restaurant in Korea that has 3 Michelin stars, which, by the way, fun fact, I didn't know Michelin stars were related to like Michelin tires. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that either. So they showed a picture of the guy winning his Michelin star, like standing up there with his award. And the Michelin man was standing next to him. And I was like, wait a second, that can't be. And I was like, wait, what? And so I felt so dumb. I was like, this Michelin star is like Michelin tire. Like, how did that happen? That they're like the person that decides who's a good chef or not. I have to do more research. I haven't looked into it, but I just thought of it now. I meant to look it up before the show, but
I can't do the cooking shows because I don't cook.
So it's not that. It's the drama of seeing people's dreams come true or get crushed. And like the things that they do through these crazy challenges, which you have the people that are like the best of the best and then the up and coming guys. So they took 80 of the up and coming guys and cut them down to 20. Then they have the 20 versus 20, and now they're cutting them down to 20 again in the current version I'm in. But it's like crazy because they have a certain period of time to cook something, and then it's like the next challenge they get a certain ingredient they have to use. So I don't even think that you have to be into cooking necessarily. For me, it's like the stories behind the people, where they come from. Like they have a lunch lady there that makes Korean lunches, and she's like she's one of the best chefs there. Which reminds me how bad American lunches are in school systems. Like we're getting like Elio's pizza, and this lady's over here making like kimchi, like fried rice with chicken and beautiful vegetables.
You know, it's funny, when I was thinking about that, I was like, why don't I like cooking shows? And then I'm like, wait, but I like those shows where people are eating stuff. So it's like
what?
like Man vs. Food, and like,
Oh, you like those ones?
yeah, because it's like crazy to think about. Like I always thought, like, oh, if I ever like did an eating challenge, like who would? I looked into them in Connecticut, like, oh, I'd love to try one, you know. But
Yeah.
because I don't cook, but I eat, so I think that's what it is.
The famous one of the guy that ate the Five Guys, the damn, that guy's from Connecticut. He's from like
Oh, really?
Bridgeport. Yeah. I don't know if he's still in Bridgeport, but he was from Bridgeport.
Did you know that the sign going into Connecticut actually says "Home of the Pizza Capital of the United States"? No.
It does?
Yes.
Where? Coming out of New York?
Yeah, driving into Connecticut from New York. It says,
Okay.
"Welcome to
Who
Connecticut."
voted on that?
Right here, baby.
I was gonna say, who put that up there? Did you put that up there?
All right, good stuff.
But I strongly suggest anybody that does like cooking shows like MasterChef, Hell's Kitchen, anything, which by the way, I feel like I've missed out on Hell's Kitchen. It's been shooting here in Connecticut and I could have gone and I didn't know. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Very good. Yeah, for me, still going with Penguin. The latest episode was the best. At this point, Kristen Milioti is looking at an Emmy win.
That's what everybody's saying
Maybe
online.
even Golden Globe. Yeah, she is great. And I always liked her, but a lot of the things I saw her in were small roles. I did see that movie Palm Springs with Andy Samberg. That was a okay movie, whatever. But I thought she was adorable in How I Met Your Mother. I thought she was great in Wolf of Wall Street as Jordan's first wife. Before he meets Margot Robbie.
I wonder if that got her this role.
Well, that was 10 years ago. So, but
I'm just saying, is the wife similar?
No,
No.
no. Like the character she's playing in Penguin is
very New York.
Yeah, very New York, but also just a criminal, you know. And very impassioned, and like every scene she just like steals it from Colin Farrell almost, and he's great too. But the Penguin, like I remember saying, I can't believe they're making this. This is ridiculous. They're just
you did say that.
It's HBO trying to cash in on Batman, but they're not gonna have Batman in it. I hate when they do that. And then you find out, oh, Batman's probably gonna pop in this. Oh, and by the way, this show is awesome. So I'm like, wow, I was so wrong in my guess, and I'm glad I am, because it's right now for me the best show on TV. Obviously, watching the Yankees, as at the time of recording this, they're up 2-1 in the ALCS. By the time this episode comes out, they're either going to have won in advance to the World Series, or Game 6 is tonight in the Bronx. So I don't know. Obviously, I can't tell the future, but rooting for my Yanks, living on every pitch. Like, it's so stressful watching playoff baseball because I love this team so much. And then I plan to watch The Wild Robot, which just hit digital. We talked about The Wild Robot before. I'm absolutely interested in seeing that, and maybe introducing it to my kids and seeing what they think about it. So short and sweet for me, but Penguin, amazing. Watch it if you can. Become a Yankees fan, and I'll let you know about Wild Robot. And then we'll see what else comes out, because I feel like there's a lot of other stuff that comes out around fall time that'll fall to my lap. But right now, baseball is so much of my focus that I'm not, diving into as many new shows. And Only Murders, I'm one episode behind, but I'm starting to feel like what I thought was going to happen is happening.
They're dragging it out.
And it's getting, to make a bad analogy, like the Fast and the Furious first movie is all about stealing DVD players and like racing people for each other's cars and small crime in that sense. And now they're landing on aircraft carriers with Toyota Supras and stuff, and it's gotten too big. And I feel that way a little bit with this in its own realm, where it's like the first one was like, all right, these three people just stumble upon this situation, they make this podcast, and now it's like, oh, they're making a movie about the podcast, and the twists are getting too big. I hope they land it, but like I said, it can become the dumbest plots ever, and as long as you give me Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez, I'll keep watching because I like the chemistry. And you know me, characters first. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that's it for me, and that's it for the show. So we want to thank everybody for listening or watching, getting nerdy with us here, because Mondays are for the nerds, and we are so happy that you found this show, or you came over from TRB and you gave it a shot because you like what we do over there. Same type of flavor, and we're going to continue to evolve this show as we move along. Again, we're only 23 episodes in, and I feel like we're just getting started. But please do subscribe to Nerdy and Nice. We're on the major podcast platforms. And if you could rate us, that'd be awesome. 5 stars especially would be cool. And tell a friend. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff on the show, clearly. So some of your friends like some of this stuff or all of this stuff. If you have a friend who's into the stuff we like, or a coworker or a classmate, just tell them about Nerdy and Nice, and they can find it. Just look it up, Nerdy and Nice. They'll find it, and we appreciate that. And then, of course, the video version on our YouTube channel for TRB, youtube.com/@TRB podcasts. And a big thanks to our Patreon supporters. Nerdy and Nice literally would not exist without your support. So we thank you all so much. And if you are interested in supporting us, you can get additional content that we do for Nerdy and Nice and the Resistance broadcast on there, exclusive mini episodes. And we have a lot of fun things in store for 2025 for the future of both shows and TRB in general. So head to patreon.com/TRB podcast. Check out the tiers. They start at $5, and all of your support goes a long way, because it's just the two of us making all this happen, and all your support allows us to do it and allows us to grow. So thank you. A big shout out to the movie star generals and silver screen spice runners. The generals: Carmelo, John Risi, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Rumore, Brennan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton, Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, and Sachi. And the spice runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian. For me, Johnny Hoey on X, Blue Sky, and my movie podcast, Nostalgia Movie Podcast, Just Like the Movies. We're going to be hitting up Casino Royale this week, if you'd like to check that out. Not safe for work language on that podcast, though. Lacey, where can people hit you up and talk to you about all the cool things we chatted about today?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gilleran, on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran.
All right, that'll do it for us. We will be back with you next week, the week of Halloween, with another episode to get nerdy and nice with you. Let's go Yankees. And for Star Wars fans, we'll see you on TRB Live Thursday night. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time right here on Nerdy and Nice. We'll see you around, kids.